So much of things that we need to see about. Surely I do have to spell them out. Cause you know as well as I do, the only way is put in more effort and less play. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come let us go hand in hand, because this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, and let us build a nation together.
That's the plea, that's the call. Let us come together and build this place we call home. It is our duty to make it better. I want to welcome you to this segment in the Dynamic Hour, and I want to encourage those on Facebook and YouTube to please share the live. Sharing is caring. I want to start off this morning with a very positive piece. I remember the NDC making it clear that to break the poverty cycle, education is key. So they started off with universal secondary education, meaning a secondary education for all. They introduced the free hot meal program in the schools. They introduced the free tuition program in college and NULO. The free textbook program that continues. They introduced TVET in school. They introduced Grenadian history and so on. But they also stated that they're aiming to have at least one youth, one student, one young person in every household possessing a university degree. And when I saw that news yesterday regarding the first generation scholarship, where 30 young people, 30 youth received scholarships from homes where you do not have somebody in there with a scholarship to go ahead and study, I felt really good. I felt good because it means that the government and the party is fulfilling the promises they made to the Grenadian people.
Out of more than 200 applicants, just over 30 students received the scholarships on Monday to pursue undergraduate degrees in various fields. The recipients began their academic journey in January at Monroe College in the United States, engaging in a combination of online and in-person learning. At a special award ceremony held at the Grenada Trade Center, two recipients expressed their gratitude for the opportunity.
I am elated to be a recipient. This is an opportunity I've been waiting and praying for a long time, so I'm very grateful that I get this opportunity to further my studies.
As a person, I think it would help me to better myself as a young man in the community. It will also give me a drive to push the young men from my community and surrounding communities to be better in life. You know, these days we are seeing a lot of young men getting into violence and stuff, and I feel like I can make a big impact with what I'm doing, and it can change many lives, including mine.
The First Generation Scholarship Program is designed to support young people who will be the first in their families to obtain a university degree. The initiative aims to ensure that each household in Grenada has at least one university graduate. Minister for Education, Senator David Andrew, highlighted the significance of the program.
You are being given these wings to fly and to soar into new realms, into new domains. And guess what? The changes that you will create is not just for your generation, but it has a multiplier effect in that it will affect generations to come.
President of Monroe College, Mark Jerome, reaffirmed the university's commitment to working with the government of Grenada to provide educational opportunities for young Grenadians.
One of the most rewarding parts of my job is partnering in the Caribbean, starting 31 years ago in Jamaica, moving from island to island, and helping students like you who are going to improve your lives and improve Grenada.
Delivering the feature address, Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell encouraged these scholarship recipients to remain determined and persevere despite any challenges they may face.
Stuff when it seems that you're in your darkest moment, it is always better to keep going forward, because the energy, the effort and the time that you're going to spend going backward is going to obviously guarantee that you don't accomplish your goal. So no matter how difficult it is, no matter how challenging, and I'm sure even getting to this point has not been easy.
Rena Pet-
Yes. So that piece there, Rena P. Thomas from GBN did that piece. But it's a very important thing that the government is embarking upon. What the government is seeking to do is to have in every household at least one university graduate. And they have started that process. Here you have 30 young persons going off to start their education, that tertiary level education. This is great. Some people may underestimate this move, but this is big, and this is transformative in every sense. Because remember, education is a liberation. And if you can get a scholarship to get a first degree or a second degree, and if you're the first in your family to break that glass ceiling, to get a degree from a university, this is a big thing. And I want to applaud the government for having the vision, because I remember NDC making it clear that they want to see in every household at least one person graduating from a university and having a degree. I remember they did the same thing with teachers when they said there are students who are way advanced than some of the teachers in the classroom, and they gave the teachers the help, the assistance needed to go and further their studies to at least get a first degree or a second degree with support from the NDC government at the time. So this move to make sure that in every household you have at least one graduate from university is a life-changing thing for any family. So I want to applaud the government. This is the things that you want to see. The government is doing well in so many areas, but this makes me feel good, right? When I see young people going off to study, getting scholarship, and pursuing their dreams. There are some families who cannot afford to send their child to a secondary school. You just cannot afford. And there are some again who could afford. And because of that, you have some people who are left behind. Not because they are not bright, not because they are not intelligent, not because they are not capable. It's just that they don't have the money. They cannot afford to send that child to a university. And you may have experienced it, where you have bright, intelligent students completing secondary school, but they would go and work for a year or two and then go to college when they make up enough money. Many people can attest to that. But the government made tuition the highest requirement in terms of money, the highest cost. They removed that because that was the hindrance. That was the burden. That was the problem for people. Finding that $810 every year for a 2-year period or a 3-year period to pay college and, to attend college. So the government removed that. And now the government is giving at least one person in the house the opportunity to get a university degree. This is magnificent. This is excellent. This is wonderful. Sometimes you see development in concrete terms, some concrete road, some concrete bridge, some concrete drain, some concrete building. But development is also developing the person, human resource development, making the person better. And I think the government is doing a fantastic job in building people, in developing people, in giving people opportunities to further their studies, right? So I want to applaud the government. Applaud them because they understand the vision. They see the need to invest in that household. And it's the same thing with the bathroom and the toilet program, the wash program, right? Water, sanitation, water and sanitation and something. It's a similar program where the government did their research, realized that 8,000 plus people are still using pit latrines. So families are impacted negatively. The household, it consists of a number of people in it. The government then decided they would build bathroom and toilet for that household or these households, right? Which is great. So they're not just affecting positively one person. They're affecting 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 9 and 10 people in that house. So it's the same thing with a scholarship. When a person in a house or a household gets a degree, every single thing in that house changes. Everything. The conversation in the house and all will change. The way they carry about themselves, the way they cook, the way they dress, how they pay bills, everything will change. The economics within there will change, but for the good. So I want to applaud the government because I think they're on the right track. And I hope people understand that development is not only about building some hotel. The NNP, they often go there and say, well, we ain't see any major project. We ain't see no hotel bill. We ain't see this bill and we ain't see that bill. They're thinking in concrete terms, a building. If you go in some of those hotels that they're talking about, foreigners are working there. And nothing wrong with foreigners working, but you must train your people. So if you know a hotel or two will be constructed between now and, let's say, 2030, all right, in a 5-year period, what you need to do is to train your people in advance to take up the jobs that will become available in the hotel from construction phase to operational, phase when it's operational. That's how it's supposed to happen. That's how it's done in any country with a plan, with a vision, with a mission, with, a roadmap. But the NNP, they will tell you, well, we ain't seen no hotel, we ain't seen no this, we ain't seen. But during that time, the people who occupied those hotels, who manage this department and manage that department, they're foreign. Because the NNP never trained the people, never prepare the people for the jobs. So it's a good thing to see that the government is understanding the need to invest in our people. And that is genuine development. You cannot take the education out of a person, You could take a person's land, take their house, take this and take that. But if a person is educated, the knowledge that they get, you cannot take it away from them. So it's a really good thing. I want to applaud the government of Grenada. And in fact, I will play that piece again because I think it is important for it to soak in.
Out of more than 200 applicants, just over 30 students received the scholarships on Monday to pursue undergraduate degrees in various fields. The recipients began their academic journey in January at Monroe College in the United States, engaging in a combination of online and in-person learning. At a special award ceremony held at the Grenada Trade Center, two recipients expressed their gratitude for the opportunity.
I am elated to be a recipient. This is an opportunity I've been waiting and praying for a long time, so I'm very grateful that I get this opportunity to further my studies.
As a person, I think it will help me to better myself as a young man in the community. It will also give me a drive to push the young men from my community and surrounding communities to be better in life. These days we are seeing a lot of young men getting into violence and stuff, and I feel like I can make a big impact with what I'm doing, and it can change many lives, including mine.
The First Generation Scholarship Program is designed to support young people who will be the first in their families to obtain a university degree. The initiative aims to ensure that each household in Grenada has at least one university graduate. Minister for Education, Senator David Andrew, highlighted the significance of the program.
You are being given these wings to fly and to soar into new realms, into new domains. And guess what? The changes that you will create is not just for your generation, but it has a multiplier effect in that it will affect generations to come.
President of Monroe College, Mark Jerome, reaffirmed the university's commitment to working with the government of Grenada to provide educational opportunities for young Grenadians.
One of the most rewarding parts of my job is partnering in the Caribbean, starting 31 years ago in Jamaica, moving from island to island, and helping students like you who are going to improve your lives and improve Grenada.
Delivering the feature address, Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell encouraged the scholarship recipients to remain determined and persevere despite any challenges they may face.
When it seems that you're in your darkest moment, it is always better to keep going forward. Because the energy, the effort, and the time that you're going to spend going backward is going to obviously guarantee that you're going to accomplish your goal. So no matter how difficult it is, no matter how challenging, and I'm sure even getting to this point has not been easy.
Rena P. Thomas, GBN News.
Right, so that's a good piece by Rena P. Thomas there, GBN News. But this is very, very important. The NNP never saw the need to invest in the education of our people. They never saw the need to do that. And I like how the NDC is going about it. In other words, education is very important if we want to develop this country. If you go to Barbados, you go to Trinidad, you go to Guyana, you go to Jamaica, the taxi driver has a first degree. They can have a conversation with any visitor. You go in the hotel, the person who making up the bed has a first degree. The person who is in the garden as a gardener has a first degree. Because why? Those nations invested a significant amount of money in the education of their people, bringing them all the way up to a university degree level, making them competitive, not just domestically, not just in their country, but regionally and internationally. And I think that is the direction the government is going, making sure that education is a priority for all of us. All right? So we can think, so we can reason, so we can strategize, so we can be different. Because if you are educated, not just being able to read and write, but you can reason, you understand, real, genuine education, your lifestyle will change. You will know how to balance your diet. You will know how to manage your money, right? You will not be a spendthrift. You will not be wasting everything. You will know how to manage. So your diet, for example, days of old, you eat a whole pile of white rice, all starch, right? And maybe chicken, protein, and then your belly full. And you think you ate something that's healthy. But with education, you would know that your plate needs to be colorful. You would know that frying too much is a problem. You would know that steaming is healthier. You would know that baking is healthy. Certain things like that. You would know that the carbonated drinks and the sugary stuff, we have a lot of local fresh stuff here. We can use that for juice and other things. You will know. But it comes with education. You will know that diabetes could be managed. It's not a death sentence. So with education, those things would come. You would know that you have to brush your teeth after eating, after going to bed, that kind of thing. You would know that. You would know that you need to scrub below your arm and wash yourself up properly so you would smell good. You'd know you need to cut your nails and trim your hair and groom yourself. Education brings on that. Because there are people, for example, who never traveled. They never experienced certain things. So they're locked in to the same old setting. But as you give them exposure, as you give them opportunities, they start to widen their thoughts, their mindset, their thinking, their view of certain things. Education is liberation. Education is empowerment. And it's not just getting the book sense, but applying it in real life and being able to navigate through this journey called life. So the government is doing a fantastic job when it comes to educating our people. And I just hope that our people appreciate what the government is doing, because there are a lot of people here in Grenada, Carriacou and Peter Martinique, who think that building a piece of road, a piece of concrete road, is only development, or building a piece of concrete drain is only development, or building a concrete bridge is only development, or erecting some building is development. That is what some people believe. And if they don't see that, they believe that the government is not doing anything. You know, pastor, sometime during this week, well, the weekend, on his podcast, said he trying to find carpenters, no carpenters. He trying to find masons, no masons. He trying to find plumbers, electricians. He trying to find all of these people, right? He's not finding them. Even laborers, you're not even finding them. And you're paying them. You have the money to pay them. But they're at work. It's not that they're idle. They're at work. You have one or two who lazy and who don't want work. But generally speaking, if you have a trade, the government is asking you to apply. Housing authorities asking you to apply. Private contractors looking for laborers, looking for carpenters, looking for masons, looking for interior designers, looking for all-rounders. They're looking, but people are at work. People are at work, and because the government, right, is pro-worker and pro-business, creating the enabling environment for the businesses to thrive, to invest, to take risk. A lot of jobs are being created, and the diaspora, or people are sending back home to build, which is a fantastic idea. This is great. So government is doing a lot. Of course, NNP, the opposition, they would still continue to tell you that things are bad, and things are hard, and things are tough. And that is what they would continue to tell you. They would never stop that. They're in opposition. They want you to think that things are bad, even if things are good. People are at work. And that is why Keith Mitchell, sometime back, said, well, he passed through Guelph and he passed through there, and he ain't see nobody in the block, and he ain't see nobody there, and the place dead, and he expects that the people are going to be on the block idling, not having any work to do. But now they're getting work. They don't have to be on the blocks early morning, midday. No, they could go there in the afternoon. They can go there on the weekends. But there's work. You know how good it feels when you work and you get paid, and you have your little kakada. You could spend it, you could invest it, you could save it, you could do something about it or with it. So the government is investing a lot in the human resource development of our people. Let's move on. You know, I laughed last night when I saw a piece on GBN with Keith Mitchell, because he is responding to the critics who are saying, well, you're running the party from behind. You, in a clandestine manner, set up this thing in such a way that Emlyn is the leader of the party and you are the chairman of the party, but you still control the party. That is what people are alleging. All right? And further, Emlyn is the leader of the party, but not the leader of the opposition. And that's a new kind of thing in Grenada. I'm not saying that donkey years ago that didn't happen, but it happened when there was controversy between Hubert Blaze and Keith Mitchell for leadership in NNP. And Keith Mitchell, with his ways, was able, behind the back door, in my belief, to get the leadership of the NNP then. And Blaze was the prime minister of the country. So Hubert Blaze was prime minister and Keith Mitchell was the leader of the NNP, the governing party. But in terms of the opposition, I cannot recall that anything like that happened in the past. I just can't. Because normally, if you're the leader of the largest opposition party, a party, you then become the opposition leader in the parliament once you're elected. All right? So in this case, the NNP is the largest opposition party. They have 4 seats. But Emmeline Pear is the leader of the NNP. Or the ruler of the NNP? No, the leader. She can't rule the NNP. Keith Mitchell was the ruler. But she's not the leader of His Majesty's opposition. Keith Mitchell is. And Keith Mitchell is the chairman of the party. So where does that leave Emmeline Pear? So, and he has a podcast on social media. Keith Mitchell, you're not the leader of the party, but you still have a podcast talking about all kind of stuff. Right? And you're the leader of the opposition, but you're not the leader of the party.
The talk on the street is that you're running everything behind the scenes. How do you feel about that?
Well, clearly that's not exactly the case at all, you know.
That was Dr. Keith Mitchell reacting to views expressed in some quarters about his perceived influence on the new National Party. With Emmeline Pear now at the helm as the newly elected political leader, many still view Dr. Mitchell as the face of the NNP. However, Dr. Mitchell, who is now the chairman of the party, reiterated that his decision to step down was in the best interest of the NNP. The now 78-year-old politician has played a pivotal role in the NNP for over 4 decades, serving as party leader for 35 years and holding the office of the Prime Minister for 22 years, making him Grenada's longest-serving leader.
So having a key role throughout the last 40 years, whether in government or opposition or the political organization directly, it is difficult to see how to not to understand that I would continue to have some serious perception as the public of my importance in the context of the operations of the new National Party. That's normal to understand. So I could understand what the public might be thinking, but that's not it. I'm not a person who believes that someone has a position and some other person is dictating the show. I would never want that to be perceived.
Dr. Mitchell remains firm that he is not running the party behind the scenes, emphasizing the importance of making way for new leadership to ensure the NNP's continued success.
And the good thing is that I feel that I wanted to do so when I'm in reasonably good health. Many times when someone occupies a position of importance in any organization, whether it's sports, whether it's business, politics, anything, culture, anything, you sometimes they wait until they are not able to function effectively, physically and otherwise, emotionally and otherwise, before they pass on the baton. I always believe otherwise.
Since assuming the leadership role in December, Pear has been engaging party supporters in public forums and seeking advice from regional affiliates with a focus on the party's future.
Yeah, so, people are not stupid. Grenadians are not stupid. Don't believe you can fool Grenadians. Grenadians have sense to know that the real person running the show in NNP still is Keith Mitchell. But Keith Mitchell is a polarized figure. Very controversial. The guy has been there so long, he mashed a lot of people corn. So there are a lot of people who dislike him. who don't like him, period, who don't like to hear him or see him. That is why the NNP got so much of blows in the last election. So him hanging around and being the face of the NNP will always hurt the NNP, will always impact the NNP negatively. But that's for them. All right? But we know who's running the show. We know. So I laugh a bit because he has to come out and try to explain and justify all of this and to respond to critics and, because people are saying that everywhere you go. People are telling you straight up that this guy is still running the show. Because how you could be worthy or qualified to be the leader of a political party? You're an elected member of parliament. That political party has 4 seats in the opposition. But the person who is the opposition leader is Keith Mitchell, who is the chairman of your party. It's strange, but it's true. So she's not competent enough to be the leader of the opposition. I just can't fathom. I just cannot understand why they're playing this game with the Grenadian people. We know that Keith Mitchell is still running NNP, still running the show. And that will continue for a long time. Folks, I spoke last night about the unions. Well, the Public Workers Union. The Public Workers Union. The election is sometime in March, early March. And I said that Daisy Hazard, she's vying to become the president of that union. And Fimber Thomas is also vying to become the president of that union. But I want to say this. I looked at MTV News last night, and I thought they were somewhat biased in that they should have done a piece featuring both challengers or both competitors, Fimber Thomas and Daisy Hazard. Not just Daisy Hazard, right? Because it looks unfair in the eyes of people. And I also said Daisy Hazard running is like Brian Grimes running, in my belief. She has similar character traits and personality like the guy. She has been around him for a number of years too. He knew that he was unpopular. He knew he couldn't win. So he backed off. But Daisy Hazard, as usual, very pushy, very pompous. She believes that she stands a chance. She believes that. But I don't care who wins the Public Workers Union presidency. I don't care. Because I am not campaigning for any of them. I don't care who wins. And for those who making it an NDC or NNP thing, that's your business. It's not an NNP or NDC thing. It should never be. That is what they want it to be. All right? So any one of them winning would not make a big difference because they don't have a government in power that they have to fight with. You have a government that you can work with. A government who likes workers and who will fight for workers. So there's no need for a union leader who is antagonistic, who is militant, who is controversial, who is bacchanalish. who's arrogant. There's no need for that. You need somebody who can work with the government to bring betterment for the workers. Because the NDC administration love workers. And look, all the workers have to do is to look at what are some of the things that this government did for them without the union having to fight in the streets, protest, demonstrate, or make bacchanal. That's all. Just look for a moment at some of the things. When the government paid the pension and the gratuity, they didn't have to go to any union, or the union had to come to them and beg and plead. No, the NDC paid the pension and the gratuity because it was the right thing to do. And all the 500 and something workers who retired at the time did not get their money and so on under NNP. But the NDC paid in full, and they continue to pay them their pension until they're dead. Until they die, they will continue to get their pension. But the unions didn't have to go on the streets. They didn't have to demonstrate and protest for what was rightfully theirs. No. You look at the bi-monthly salary payment. The government didn't have to go to the unions to say to them, well, we want approval to introduce bi-monthly salary payments. No. The government introduced it because it was the right thing to do. So now people are getting paid twice per month. The NNP said it's not feasible, it will not work, and all kinds of stuff. Right? You look at the doc salaries for teachers. Remember the NNP docked their salaries? The NDC paid it back, but the NDC didn't have to go to the unions or fight with them to pay it back. No, they paid it back because it was the right thing to do. The regularization of workers. The NDC didn't have to go to the unions, and in fact, the unions did not support the process. They had all kinds of problems with it. So workers are being regularized and made permanent. Then you look at the new contract for contract workers or unestablished workers. The new pension, for contract workers or unestablished workers. The government didn't have to go to the unions. In fact, they tried to engage the unions and the unions turned it down. They did not go in a meeting. But the government was able to pass it anyway, introduce it, and it's going good for the workers. So on plenty of occasions, the government just introduced things for workers because it's good things. It's the right thing to do. It's the proper thing to do. So you don't need a union leader who is controversial. You don't need a union leader who will make bacchanal, who will try to fight government. For what? What you trying to achieve? What you trying to achieve? So I thought the piece by MTV was biased, but I think the Grenadian people have sense, the workers have sense. I think so. And lastly, I want to applaud Anthony Boswin for clearing up this whole thing that the NNP starts spreading, right, about the borrowing of money to support capital projects in the budget.
Former political figure and local economist Anthony Boswin has responded to Finance Minister Honorable Dennis Cornwall's announcement on Tuesday that the government plans to borrow over $700 million to fund the 2025 budget. Cornwall explained that the borrowing is necessary to support upcoming development projects and that the government will increase its use of the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange ECSE by auctioning more treasury bills. Boswin described the move as a common practice and commended the government's decision, emphasizing the importance of funding critical development and infrastructure initiatives.
First of all, I applaud the government on this bold initiative, and I will tell you why. in any budget, the first thing we have to be concerned about is the government current operations. Yeah. If the government is generating what they call a current surplus, that is to say, its current revenue is in excess of current expenditure, that is good. If it is in the other way around, I would say, hey, we're heading in the wrong direction. On the capital side, the public sector investment program is what drives economic growth and development in any country. You look at China, you look at any country that has developed, and you will see that a robust public sector investment program is key. When you look at Grenada right now, the last budget, $400 million, that is chicken feed in order to bring the infrastructure in Grenada up to a standard where we can say, well, yes, we could keep it or other regional countries.
While the announcement has sparked questions and concerns, Botswain believes the only concern lies in the terms and conditions of the borrowing.
Yeah. So the government going out to borrow $700 million. The first thing I would like to know before I could give a final comment on what terms and conditions, and that is what we have to look at. Is the government borrowing these funds on highly concessionary terms? If that is the case, this is good, and I wish they could borrow even more. Yeah, because you look around. Our infrastructure is in a dilapidated state. You look at our city fences. You look at the coronage. You look at so many areas that need significant development. Why are we making a fuss about government's desire to develop? If you are concerned about the government's current spending, I will be with you. But when it comes to the capital expenditure, that is the public sector investment program, which is to drive economic growth, both in the public sector and the private sector. I welcome the government decision to borrow once it is on highly concessionary terms.
Cornwall made the announcement after revealing the date for the reading of the 2025 budget will be pushed back from December 2020.
Right, so Anthony Botswain there making a very, very important point. This is normal. Borrowing to support capital projects, that's normal. Because you don't expect the government to take all their savings, all the money that they amass over the last 2.5 years and just take it and spend it building these capital projects. No, it's like you having, let's say, $10,000 in the bank, but you're working and you're able to repay a loan. Will you take that whole $10,000 and, let's say, put on an addition to your room? You go to a bank. So you leave the $10,000 there. You go to a bank and you take a loan for the money required to build that addition on your roof. And every month you pay what is required because you're working. You can afford to do so. So the government is a good creditor. They can afford to do such a thing, and that's the right thing to do. So all governments, they've done it. But with NDC, everything that they do become an issue for the NNP. And the NNP will concoct stories just to make the government look bad. And then somebody would come out and put them to shame, the NNP to shame. Look at Anthony Botswain, putting them to shame, more or less. And he was a member of the NNP. He was a Minister of Finance under NNP. He was an MP for St. Patrick West under NNP. So him coming out and saying, hey, stop all this stupidness. Governments in the past and governments in the future will borrow. All we need to do is to make sure that they borrow at concessionary rates. So we don't have to pay very high interest rates. The NNP administration, they were borrowing at a point where it was commercial interest rates, 9%, 8%, and so on. Concessional rate is like 1% and under. So this is normal. I want to thank Anthony Botswain there for coming out and explain this in very simple terms. And still, some of those NNP supporters will never understand. And even if they understand, they will still pretend that they don't. But folks, I want to thank you very much for being a part of the program. I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day. I will be back with you tomorrow, tonight, not tomorrow. Tonight in the hub. Tomorrow for the Dynamic Hour, but tonight in the hub.